Hey guys, Verbal95, going to like from your local county prison cell. Happy St. Patrick's Day. If you can't tell, I've had a night out, so I'm going to try to do this one as concisely as I can. And this is a fight I never would have thought of if I hadn't been looking for a fight to do. So, this is Protoman from Mega Man versus, I guess I'll just call him Omega from Sonic. It's technically what, like E-123 Omega or something like that. That I'm not calling him that the whole time. This was tough. I think I've done Protoman in a fight before, but it was like literally based off of the fact that I saw a Protoman and a guy. I can't even remember the name of the game. It was from a Nintendo game that I think no one remembered, and I think it was on not a Dorkly, but like I think it was in a No Pun Nintendo video or something like that. And yeah, that's the only time I've had Protoman. That's besides the point. Yeah, and this fight's I think better, and honestly, Omega fights are a little hard to come by because while the idea of a robot that kind of obtains free will and turns against its master and begins to love nature and have friends and everything is kind of common, there's not really a ton of fights that line up with Omega, I feel like. And the only other Proto Man fight I was thinking of was Proto Boy from Robot Boy. But a Robot Boy character that is not Robot Boy, I think by default is automatically too obscure for a death battle. Not that I couldn't do it, I might do it in the future. But getting into it. So Proto Man, as we know, is he is the first ever robot master, and he is, why he's referred to as Proto Man is he is the prototype for not only Mega Man but also all of the robot masters that would come before Mega Man. And this gives him a lot of abilities that we see from Mega Man. He's got the Proto Buster, which is just the Mega Buster, just an energy cannon, right? We see him have the ability to copy weapons from foes that he faces, right? It's Mega Man's scan ability. And we see he even has some abilities that Mega Man doesn't have. Him having the benefit of his shield, which he uses with a lot of versatility. He uses it not only as a bashing weapon or a striking weapon, he also uses it to like slide on like a surfboard, which is pretty cool. And he's also been known to use beam swords from time to time, which Mega Man generally doesn't unless he copies it from somebody. So that's actually pretty cool that he has a lot of ability that Mega Man doesn't. And I believe the whistling is a canon like thing that he can do that Mega Man can't. But the kind of symbolism behind that being that like he was the prototype for all the robot masters, right? Who were basically just first they were invented to just be assistants and tools to do what the jobs that were dangerous for humans, and then they were redesigned as weapons for Wily. They were never really meant to have a sort of life or ideas of their own, and Proto Man kind of spat in the face of that concept. In his own words, if robots are machines that follow orders, what does that make me? So yeah, I mean, him being able to whistle, like him having tech or weaponry that Mega Man doesn't have is just a design choice. Him being able to like do something human-wise that I think Mega Man can't do, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be symbolic. However, I've spent too much time analyzing his whistling ability. Much like Mega Man, he has superhuman strength, superhuman speed, durability, but not the reason that he is the prototype. And he is Mega Man's older brother, but the reason he is the prototype is that they haven't been perfected. His abilities have not been perfected to the degree that Mega Man's have, which is probably why they gave him the extra extremities, is because, he kind of needed them, whereas Mega Man being the total package already, didn't really have anything he lacked. He was an all-around, fighter that had a more powerful scan ability. From my understanding, if he copies a weapon from somebody, he can't. I don't think he can. Or if he copies an ability from a machine, he can't use it to the full power. That might not be true, so don't quote me on that. But still, and he's become an off and on ally to Mega Man. He's aligned himself with Wily in the past, and he's kind of resisted and fought against Wily at times, and he's again aligned himself with Mega Man, and he's fought Mega Man plenty of times. So he's not a he's not like a perfect, he's not like the antithesis of Mega Man per se, but he is kind of out there doing his own thing. He's the rogue. He's the a side, he's not base, he's not evil Mega Man. He's his own thing, and he wants to be his own thing. But yeah, moving on, let's go to Omega, right? So Omega was the predecessor of, what was his designation? It was one something. It was the E-100 series, but it was the predecessor of Gamma from Sonic Adventure 1. Now, Gamma was designed to be essentially a robot assassin. He was designed to be, to have, like fighting instincts, right? And Gamma ended up kind of discovering his own path and doing a similar thing as Protoman, funny enough, and kind of going to the side. His predecessor would be Eggman's ultimate killing machine, aside from like Metal Sonic and stuff like that, would be 123 Omega. And Omega is just a weapons factory. I mean, he is not only built like a brick house, he's also, he's got machine guns, flamethrowers, missile launchers, laser cannons. He's got like the whole package, as well as, strength to compete with the Sonic characters. He can fly short range, but like very slowly using, rocket boosters. And he has a like strategic intelligence, right? He has like he can analyze things, but he's not he's not like a supercomputer or anything. In fact, that might actually be an attribute that Gamma had more than Omega did. As I'm talking about this fight, I'm kind of realizing maybe it should have been Protoman versus Gamma, but whatever. We'll do Omega for the sake of it. Omega's significantly more popular anyway. So, where I said that Gamma was an assassin and had like an instinct for fighting and taking out targets, yeah, Omega's just a war machine. He's meant to just mow down enemies, and that's apparent. His power is made apparent when you find out that his first ever objective given to him upon activation was to guard Shadow, right, and fight him and subdue him if necessary. So Eggman had complete confidence that this robot was going to fight and subdue Shadow if need be. And it's easy to understand why, because he is incredibly powerful with his arsenal, and very durable and very strong in his own right. And in addition to that, he can actually enhance his weaponry with Chaos Emeralds. There are, the Team Dark super move of the what is it called? The Chaos Explosion or the Chaos Spiral or whatever it's called, where, Shadow freezes time and then Omega shoots everything, has Omega using a Chaos Emerald to amplify his weaponry. So we know that he's capable of at least harnessing some amount of Chaos energy. Probably not the whole thing, I would imagine. But, yeah, and in alternate timelines, he even was given the objective killing Shadow and like of hunting down and killing Shadow, and in some of them succeeded. So we know that potentially Omega is like, you know, an incredibly powerful opponent. But more so than being a war machine, upon joining Team Dark and meeting the rest of the Sonic crew, he kind of realized that he, even as a robot designed for destruction, had the ability to, you know, form relationships and, you know, have friendship and, you know, long care for people and miss people, and even more so had the ability to care for nature and his environment. And he actually, you know, intentionally protects beings that he considers, you know, weak, and that he can identify when they need to be protected, and makes that decision of his own. So he has kind of, despite not completely developing his own, you know, separate sentience, and, you know, he doesn't completely defer from his programming, but he is able to create his own objectives, and his objectives have been in his own best interest, and have been, you know, for what he wants rather than what is needed of him. I'm getting very philosophical here, I'm sorry. But yeah, how are these two gonna fight each other? Well, like I said, the big issue is, one big factor to take into consideration is going to be that Protoman's copy ability, I am almost certain, is going to work on Omega. It's worked on borderline organic super beings before, and also it's, you know, Omega is a machine. So considering Protoman can copy just like weapons, but also like, you know, the ability to manipulate, you know, elements and whatnot. Yeah, I definitely know that every weapon Omega has, Protoman is going to be able to copy. Now, even if Protoman can use every weapon, and even if we're assuming that he can use them with the same potency that Omega can, which I'm not sure that he can, but I'm not sure that he can't, right? Because I think I remember hearing something about that. That's what made him separate from Mega Man, was the fact that his copying ability wasn't perfect. Even if he can do that, that's not going to determine the entire fight, because, like I said, Omega is very superhumanly strong and very tanky, and those are qualities that he doesn't necessarily, you know, copy by default, right? Also, you know, typically Mega Man individually has the ability to store weapons. I don't know if Protoman does. That might be another limitation that he had from his copying ability. Hell, that might be the limitation. It might be the fact that he can only do one at a time. But generally, they only tend to use one weapon at a time, right? They don't tend to use them in like combinations or anything. So even if he can pick and choose which weapon he copies from Omega, he's not going to have access to all of them. So it's not going to be a perfect, you know, full counter or anything. And like I said, Omega is typically a lot more physically strong and a lot more durable. Even if we scale, and you know how I hate scaling, but even if we scale Protoman to Mega Man with his, like, you know, the Wily's Castle lifting feat, you know, Omega's existence and a mission that he succeeded in, again, in some timelines, is to beat Shadow, or at least subdue Shadow. And we know Shadow, you know, has fallen from the moon onto Earth and survived, and we know Shadow has blown up portions of celestial bodies and whatnot, right? So the fact that this thing is there to fight and subdue Shadow, we know that he's packing some serious firepower, but we know he can also take a lot of punishment. And with that being said, Protoman's base weaponry is probably not going to do it full on against Omega. I mean, like, the Proto Buster is a powerful piece of weaponry. When he uses beam swords, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, but he has the Proto Slash and everything, right? Powerful attack. He has the he has the typical Mega Man thing with the spring jump and the slides and and his shield is very durable as well and has tanked a lot of attacks, but you know, it's just he's kind of relying on the copy ability, in my opinion, right? Because if he's fighting, he's used to being, and this is the same with kind of Mega Man, he's used to being either physically stronger, more skilled, more experienced, etc., than a lot of the beings he fights. You know, that's why he takes on Wily's minions. That's why he takes on a lot of characters, is because he's kind of used to being superior against a comparable opponent with a greater diversity of offense and possibly even, better physical attributes. I don't think he's going to take out Omega. I think he's going to give it a hell of a fight, and I think that the copy ability is going to come in handy a lot. But the other thing to consider is if Omega he can't use Chaos Control, but he can also, amplify his weaponry with Chaos Energy if he finds a Chaos Emerald, which they would do in Death Battle. That's something that, as far as I'm concerned, Protoman can't copy. He can't copy Chaos Energy because it's not like a weapon or even like a power necessarily. It's, something amplifying him. It's arguable if Protoman had a Chaos Emerald, he could use it to amplify himself, because I believe that happens in a Mega Man Sonic crossover comic, but not with Protoman specifically, but probably with Mega Man. But that being said, I think it's very likely that Omega has this fight. I think so. Yeah, good fight though. Good fight. I mean, good fight and very underappreciated characters. And not to mention, one benefit that Mega Man has over Protoman is, he has friends and relationships and all these things, so that usually in, Death Battle he gets, what the hell is the dog's name? I can't remember the dog's name. He gets the dog, right? Yeah, and I know Base's dog's name, but I don't know fucking Mega Man's dog's name. It's not right. No, Roll is the girl. But yeah, he has synergies with other with other characters that he's formed relationships with, whereas Protoman is kind of intentionally a lone wolf kind of character. He kind of wants to be by himself and be an individual. Omega, kind of also relies on other people and has become stronger, and I don't want to say he's more experienced, but in fact, I think Protoman probably wins in any experience factor here. But basically, I think that Omega has more room for growth, I guess would be the word, and has more to fight for. And I know that's not really like a tangible feat that you can use, but I think that's like the character synopsis here, is that, like, it's very apropos that the most human thing that one can do in pursuit of being an individual is to seek out others, right? So take that for what you will. But yeah, like I said, good fight. I'll try to have an equally as good fight next week, but until then, Verbal Engine 95, see ya.